Okay, so hi everybody. I don't have any way of really knowing who's on there. I saw Stephanie early, but now I'm going to be focusing straight on our presentation screen. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our the information about our little program in Arlington. Hopefully, I'll be able to see most of you also at the Virginia Federation Conference this year. I will be there and would love to meet anybody who has any questions about what we do or how we did it. But this will give you a pretty good idea. Also, if you have questions, please ask them in the chat or feel free to reach out to me at mruss@awla.org. So let's see. My thing is not moving our Okay, so we are the Animal Welfare League of Arlington. We are an open mission shelter based in Arlington, Virginia. We have a total intake last year of almost 3,000. That's down about 100 from the previous year, but that's about where we usually range. The majority of our animals are transfers. We're super lucky in that we're a wealthy transient community. We've done TNR for several decades now. We also enjoy a 98% live release rate at our shelter. So even though we're basically, I would say, in the middle of we categorize as small to mid-sized municipal shelter, we are very high functioning. So a little bit about our program. I'm also co-founder of the National Kitten Coalition. And in 2016, we got a grant, ironically working with the Animal Welfare League of Arlington. And this grant paid for us to go to these 5 nurseries across the country. At the time, they were the 5 largest nurseries that did only neonatal kittens and were a safe place for neonates. So we went and spent a day or two with each of these organizations and met with everybody from the very top of the organization to the very bottom to see what it is that they did, how they did it, what they wish they would have known when they started and what they had learned from doing it. And we put this together called Launching and Operating a Successful Kitten Nursery. This is free to download on the National Kitten Coalition webpage. It is a little outdated now. It's February 2017, and we know how quickly things change in this industry. So, and the biggest thing I thought about it when we were in these meetings is this is really great for the kittens that end up in these large areas, high population areas, but not a lot of kittens are going to be in Manhattan to go to a nursery at ASPCA. So what does what we learned here look like in a small to mid-sized municipal shelter? So we'd already been working with AWLA. They were the ones who got us the funder to get this manual written. So I did a presentation to them and put the stuff together and said, what do you think of us doing something along these lines, but in a small to mid-sized municipal shelter? And I was really adamant about making it so that the business plan didn't have hard stops. We didn't know if it was going to be all foster based. We didn't know if it would be in-house or some sort of hybrid from those two. But they were so generous and were like, you know what, let's give it a try. They were so funny. And they said, why don't you give it a shot for 3 months and we'll see how you do. Because I have to give Arlington all the credit on this because, Arlington did at that time about 92 kittens a year. Kittens were not a huge impact for them, but being with National Kitten Coalition and fostering all throughout the DMV, I knew that kittens were euthanized at 9:30, and I knew that there were areas that were greatly under-resourced. So I knew that there would be some help for it. This picture you see on the left was a storage closet that they had, ironically, with a window. And when we toured the facilities, we were able to get a grant from a private donor of $25,000. They found this little room, which this picture actually makes it look huge. It is not huge. But we decided that would be the best place to place the nursery. So we went from that to what you see here. Basically, our biggest investments were the bank of cages. We did 2 incubators. We did a oxygen concentrator, because really with neonates, you can send them overnight to a vet and rack up crazy amounts of bills. The only thing you can do is deal with their immediate temperature, which would the incubator would do, but then also, the oxygen concentrator would give any cat with respiratory issues oxygen support. So that really helped us keep our kittens with us and do what we could without breaking the bank for the shelter. We also really did a lot with learning about what's out there for clinical opportunities. So if you look at this color, this was not the color that we saw for the nursery. However, Sherwin-Williams has a clinical grade paint, and that paint is guarded up to MRSA. So we decided we wanted to try that so that we, to sort of impact the infectious disease spread. Everything's anecdotal. We don't know what it would have been like if we wouldn't, but we really have been successful in not having a lot of infectious disease transferred out. That is, if you are a rescue and want to try using that, if you're painting, I recommend trying it. You get a 40% discount if you're a 501c3. And I think they have more colors now, but that's something that they use in hospitals and clinics and something that we looked at. So we really wanted to create a safe community for kittens without breaking the bank, because literally that's why kittens are so hard. That's why they're still the most euthanized animals in shelters, because of the time, money, and staff it takes to save them till adoption. We also know that they're also still the most adoptable. So it's really just about bridging that gap. So we need to figure out, how do we save the time that shelter resources that require for these kittens? How do we save the money? And how do we make it so the staff aren't debilitated by bringing in more kittens? So here are some of the things that we did. In July of 2017, we officially opened the nursery. So we were halfway through the season at that point. This is Virginia's own Phil Vassar. He is a country music singer and songwriter. And he came and kicked off our little kitten nursery. He's allergic to cats. That's why he is holding the blankets. But he was super great about spreading our information all over his social media. And he is from Lynchburg, Virginia. So we kicked off our nursery in July of 17. Prior to that, we did about 92 kittens a year, like I said. Last year, we did almost 1,600 kittens, and that's remained steady for the last 3 years. We did have quite a few building years, but as our foster programs have grown and as our capacity has grown and people have learned what we're doing and we're pulling, our numbers have gotten pretty big, and also kind of stayed sustainable over the last 3 years. So that's a big impact. And what it suggests is that we're addressing a need that had been going unmet for the area. Here's a video that I want to share with you. Hopefully your sound is up and hopefully the audio works on this. But this is a video that one of our fosters put together that encompasses the program.
Wow. We lost 14 and a half today. Okay.
So that video I just love because I think it really talks about why we all do what we do and how we do it and makes it just a little less intimidating. That is a video that when we come to you, we are happy to share any of that. If that's something that would motivate your fosters, please let us know. One of the main things about our program is we're completely transparent. And if there is something in our program that can help you, please let us know. There is no need to recreate the wheel. We have everything available in an editable format so that you can take and use what works for you. But really, so when we decided, we saw this program, you're seeing the numbers, you see how different it is. The numbers are so, but we're really actually not any different than any other shelter that's saving kittens. We just made a few tweaks. And I'd love to say that it was premeditated and we knew exactly that it would be this big, but these few tweaks made such a big difference in the program. And that's why we now go out on the road and share what we did and learn from what other people are doing and kind of put it all together in a consortium of sorts. So that this presentation, if somebody saw this a year ago or a year and a half ago, it's completely different than it was, because in the interim, we've gone to 40 different shelters all over the country, and we've taken their good ideas and morphed them into what we think is highly impactful. But initially what we did, initially the big things that were different were the Kitten College concept and how this program sustains itself in certain ways, and we'll go over that. It also offers a lot of foster flexibility. It did end up being 100% foster based. We don't keep kittens in the shelter because we're so fortunate not to need to. And obviously we know that kittens thrive in foster way more than they do in the shelter. We also work to find a place for everyone in the program. You know, we have some that really want to foster, but maybe aren't super intuitive when it comes to fostering. We have a very strong base of folks that help us with transportation to and from shelters, and for folks with fundraising or marketing. We just try and use everybody that has a passion for what we're doing. But the main thing we do, and the main thing that made the biggest impact, is how we categorize our fosters. So each foster comes in and they're assigned a class based on their expertise and their desire. So senior fosters are going to take the smallest of bottle babies. They're going to have a great eye for things that could go wrong with kittens, things that where kittens might need help. They can really recognize distress in these little ones. They're fosters that, you know, a kitten comes in and we need that foster available right then. So our senior fosters, we really try and just keep them to kittens for a small amount of time. They would keep the foster just during this bottle baby infancy, and then they would go on to another foster. That allows them to be available for more bottle babies to come in. We then have junior fosters. Junior fosters would still take bottle babies. You'll notice this kitten is going to grow up. So the ages, this kitten came in, we would send it to a junior foster. They can still be on the bottle, but they're good on the bottle. They can be starting to wean. We have fosters that are really good at weaning kittens. So they would be able to recognize diarrhea and how to do that with the shock to the system of the food transition. And then they also do mild medical conditions. They also have a very strong eye for neonatal needs. Our sophomores will take kittens that are eating independently. They're smaller, so they have a little bit ways further to go before they're up for adoption. They may have a daily med for metronidazole or doxy if they have a URI or diarrhea. Or we also will send kittens that are healthy but really need socialization. Those are usually categorized by our fosters. Our freshmen will take kittens that are healthy, eating independently. They're basically ready to go. They may not have hit the exact weight they need to be, but they could also be ones that are just a little bit backlogged on our surgery schedule. This is a great option for parents with small children that want to be around them, active lifestyles. These kittens do really well. They're a super fun age. They're usually potty trained, eating well, and then just need a little bit of time with the family. So we get a lot of families with young children that take these kittens. So really what we have found in our program, since we are basically 100% foster based, is that fosters make and break our program. So we have an amazing foster group. And one thing that we do is we really support our fosters. We let them choose what category they want to be. And if they want to move up a category, we support them with foster mentors. We'll line them up with somebody in a higher class so they can be taught how to do that. They always have us and other fosters to reach out to in times of distress or questioning. And then we recognize our fosters. You can see both of these ladies are some of our favorite fosters that are just amazing, essentially extensions of the staff. We call them professors. And so every year they'll get a jacket as a Kitten College professor. And that's not just for our fosters, that's also for our daily transporters and people that just really make an impact in the program. They become professors. And actually this year's jacket, because I was at a shelter in Texas and they recommended doing professors. So this year's jackets are professors. We also have foster influencers. So we have fosters that have, hundreds of thousands of followers, which actually turns out to be a very cohesive relationship. We provide the content for them. They get our story out and they do great work for us and vice versa. So it's become something that's really unique, obviously, as social media influencers are taking over. I worked at a shelter in Texas or in Florida last year that became a Kitten College, and they have they did a promotion to get fosters calling it an influencer starter kit, where they sent the kittens out with all the stuff so you could become an influencer. So we do have a responsibility, since there are kittens and they're getting a lot of exposure. We have social media guidelines that we send out to all of our influencers, well, to everybody, but primarily it pays close attention to our influencers. We've never had a problem with them having an issue with it. Those guidelines we can make available to you if you want to look at them and see what they are. But those are something that we do. It has been great for the program. They also do a lot of fundraising for their own supplies through their social media pages. Our foster program, like I said, carries it. In 2016, before we started the program, we had 38 fosters, and that, did very well for our 100 kittens. But now, we're obviously at a much higher level. We have over 300 fosters, 100 of which are bottle baby or special care fosters. And that's just something that, we're so lucky to be in such an urban area. And we did a lot of creative foster solicitation early on. When we first started the program, I went to the Chamber of Commerce lunches and talked about what we were doing and talked about businesses in our community incentivizing their staff to foster, because kittens can just come in and you can just slide them under the desk in front of you, and really educating them on how it does save a life, and the pictures and the kittens really sell themselves. So we also went to the veterinary clinics around us, and I would go with a friend of mine who is a Zoetis rep, which is the veterinary pharmaceutical. So she would do a lunch and learn, and I would tag along and bring bottle babies and talk about our program. And I never, ever left a vet clinic with a bottle baby. So then we had vet techs and vets that were so interested in seeing these tiny ones that never come into a clinic. And it really helped us build relationships with those clinics and also get great fosters in the interim. So one thing that we did learn about this program, which was a kind of a shock to all of us, we really decided to do the kittens in these chopped up time, because number one, it allowed our bottle baby fosters to be made available. They wouldn't get a kitten and say, okay, we can get you another bottle baby in 8 weeks. That was really not using our resources to the best of their ability. And so what we did is we would say, hey, can you take this kitten for 2 weeks? And then, then we would get a lot more fosters that way, because during kitten season is also for summer in Virginia. So you don't want to have a foster that has to take their whole summer just because, they have kittens. So if they say, hey, we're traveling in 10 days, 14 days, we can say, that's fine. Please take them while you can, and then we'll move them. What we found is that moving these kittens really did a great justice to the kittens on their socialization. They became very comfortable with transportation, with new people, with new environments. They did really well. And what we know is that when kittens are in a situation where they're not stressed, they don't get sick. So it did also wonderful things for their immune system. Contrast, it really helped us get more fosters because they could foster without committing their whole summer. We did obviously have fosters that had fostered. They were long-term fosters, and they really didn't want to give up their kittens, and which is fine. We basically wanted the fosters to be able to do whatever it is they wanted. We wanted them to have say in their own foster experience. We talked a lot about the socialization, and eventually now we have fosters that are fine sending their kittens to other fosters. And so it was sort of a conveyor belt. So one foster is friends with this foster. So one does bottle babies and one does weaned kittens. So foster A could always give her kittens to foster B. And that was always something that was, a little bit more reassuring. So we created sort of a conveyor belt for kittens. So they came in and they just sort of went through the chain. But all that time getting super socialized and being really, really healthy. So what that did do for us is when we were seeing our numbers go from 92 to the first year, it was 367. And the next year it was over 1,000. And our CEO was really worried, rightfully so, that we would have kittens sitting in the shelter. So we would just be saving kittens to have them sit. And so we were at Expo, I think it was when I was in Kansas City several years ago. We met with a shelter up in Dakin in Springfield, Massachusetts, and talked to them about what we were doing and how we saw our numbers grow. And they said, well, we always need kittens. We can't get kittens. So what if we transferred kittens to you? And because of the Massachusetts ag guidelines, they needed to be completely unvetted. So they didn't want sterilization. All they needed to have was their first round of shots. So for us and the veterinary costs, that was great. So soon after that, we sent our first batch of 40 kittens up to Dakin. We drove our van with 40 kittens through New York City all the way up. And a couple days after the kittens were there, I got a call from them, and was kind of worried because she's like, I have to talk to you. I was like, oh God, I was so afraid of a panleuk or, all the things you worry about. And she said, we have to figure out what happened with these kittens because we've never had kittens that made it through quarantine in 24 hours. Not one kitten broke with a URI, diarrhea, or anything. And why is that? And that's when we learned that it was this exposure early on and going through multiple fosters that they were able to weather a 12-hour trip in a big van through New York City. It didn't stress them out. They got to where they were going to be and they were just fine. So then, ironically, this shelter said, we will pay you for your kittens. So all of a sudden we have, all these kittens in there. So we'll give you $100 a kitten. So the next 2 times we sent up, we made about $4,000 on each kitten transport. So that was really interesting because, when do you make money on kittens in kitten season? But it was because they did not have to worry about paying or for the vet bills. And this is a shelter. I think last time I checked, they adopt kittens out for $650 a kitten. So their adoption fees are huge, and they can get it because they don't have the amount of kittens. So that was a really interesting revenue opportunity and transport opportunity. But what we have learned, and we haven't sent since, is that our kittens just don't sit no matter what. We have linked them to some of our other contacts, and we've done some transports that way. But it's definitely something to consider if you have a lot. The kittens in the north, if you can get them there, and these kittens don't break, they're so excited to have your kittens. So once we started seeing our numbers go really well, we started to look at where our kittens were going. This is in summer of 2019. So we knew these kittens were just coming. And we, even at the numbers we were taking them, there were a few times that we still had to say we don't have space. So we wanted to look at where we were saving these kittens and see what we could do there. So we came up with the idea of doing satellite campuses. And that is the places where we pulled from, going into their organizations and saying, hey, if you want to keep your kittens, why don't you work with us? We will do training for you. We will give you any resource that you want from us. We will, you can be a satellite campus to Kitten College. And in exchange, you have our word that those kittens will be safe. If you have overflow, you'll be first on our list to pull kittens. And for an organization, that is priceless. They're so excited to have a safe place for kittens because we all know how stressful it is to think about placing neonates and what that does to staff. So we targeted 5 areas. Here were our 5 initial campuses, and all of these campuses have very different needs. The demographics are different, and they they need different things. But of these 5 campuses, I want to point out 2. We still pull from all of them, and we love to pull from all of them. They have programs, they have our resources. Middleburg Humane Foundation particularly is a shining star. They no longer, I don't even know how long it's been since they've pulled from us, unless it's like a transfer. So we often will send them our kittens that need socialization, and we will take their bottle babies. But Middleburg now is pulling kittens from outside of Middleburg. So now they go, I think I talked to the person who runs their kitten college last night, and they pulled kittens this week from Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas, because they now have fosters and kittens. I mean, but not kittens. And so, I mean, they have just done a 180, and their program is so strong and is doing, amazing things by supporting now outside their shelter, which is a dream we all have. Another one is Prince George's County. Prince George's County is by far the one that we pull and still have historically pulled the most from. They euthanize a lot, and they always have. That's why, and they euthanize at 9:30. So we have a transport set up so that we can say, if they have something at 9:30, we put it on our group, our transporters go get it, take it to a foster. But we have been working with them. They have their own kitten college. They're able to keep more now. We take the ones that they can't. Last year was the first summer in the history of their organizations they did not euthanize for space for kittens. So that is a huge thing for PG County. So that was super exciting. Newport News is a TNR clinic. So they started it with that. They are doing wonderful things. Frederick County is a conglomeration. We work with them. I think Sarah and Kim Fields and I speak about it all the time. We do still pull quite a bit from that area. And that's, that's great. We also do Anne Arundel. Anne Arundel has unique demographics in that they're still with the sheriff's department. So their fosters have to have background. I mean, so they have unique needs. We still work with them, but all of our resources are them. We're affiliated with them, and we all sort of work together. Another thing that came out of it, I mentioned that Middleburg Humane, they are a rural area. So their fosters are so good at socializing and quite frankly, better than ours. We don't get a lot of feral kittens in because we're an urban area. Middleburg will often take our ferals. And so we know that if a kitten comes in, then this area is becoming a safe community for kittens. We work with DC City Cats and Dogs. They have a lot of they do a lot of interesting medical cases, as does the Chris Griffey Memorial Foundation. So if a kitten comes to us and we don't have the medical support for it, we can call those organizations. So we didn't anticipate this, but essentially the DMV is becoming a kitten safe place because we all work together to make sure that those kittens can go to different organizations that are best suited to set them up for success. So now we've been going all across the country. I'm right now in the middle of a 2-week tour of the West Coast. I was in Scottsdale last week I was in Hawaii. It was a tough gig, but I did it. And now I'm in Peoria and then I'll be back in DC tomorrow. But so we get kitten colleges now all over the country, and anybody can be a kitten college. If you guys decide that your organization would do well with a kitten college, let us know. Reach out to me. Basically what it is, it's anecdotal. It is alliterative to your community. It helps engage people in what they're doing. And so we have one, we're working with Operation Kindness in Texas. They are looking to be a high functioning one like ours and do campuses in their community that would be satellite campuses. So just let us know what we can do to help and how we can help. Everything is an open resource, and the chances are we'll probably learn something from you. So the power of events, when we did our meetings at the national organizations, the 5 that created the manual, we learned that kittens are the ATMs of most organizations. They sell themselves. So we've done a lot with promoting what we're doing. And one of the big things we did was Drag Queen Tiny Kitten Bingo. That would not always work in a lot of communities, but in the DC area, it was a huge success. We do kitten yoga. We do kitten naming games and raffles. We bring kittens out into the community to the 911 call centers that are very high stress jobs. And basically that is not to get adopters, it's to let people know what we're doing, to let them know that we have this huge resource. Arlington now functions at the same level of those national organizations. I think Texas, like their Pets Alive nursery did 1,100 last year. So we're exceeding those. And we are just a small to mid-sized municipal shelter. So it can definitely be done. We also have an apprenticeship program. Our next apprenticeship program is the 23rd. So it's next Friday. It is free. It is an in-house program. If anybody wants to go, please let me know. I'll send you the information. We have a few spots available. It's all day. It's Friday the 23rd, and we go over how the Kitten College was built, how we intake kittens. We do assessments. We have a meeting. We have a session with our vet that talks about high volume kitten protocols. We talk with our fundraising and development team and go over how we raise money, how we market it, how we tell the community about what we're doing. We meet with our CEO, and he talks a lot about community outreach and what the program itself has done for us as far as notoriety and letting people know what exactly, how to save kittens and what we have done. And then we also have Ellen Croza, who's the cat LVT. She does an advanced critical care presentation. So that is available to anyone. We try and do that 3 to 4 times a year. We can't do it in the summer because we have our our summer camp, but we will get those on the books. We also do the travel apprenticeship program. That is what I'm doing right now out on the road, where we go and spend a day, talk about how we built the program, look at their resources, line things up, basically start envelop them into this community of kitten care. I'm going to Fredericksburg next week. So we do a lot in Virginia. It's super easy to get into in Virginia. So if this is something that you would like in your community, please reach out to us. We also have just finished our 2023 last year Kitten College Impact Report, and we did a lot in 2023. It was sort of a marquee year for us. We worked with UC Davis and the University of Wisconsin in updating the neonatal kitten care guidelines from 0 to 8 weeks. So that was huge. Beyond that, we are going to be presenting what those guidelines are this summer at Best Friends with Julie Levy. So we from University of Florida. So we're really working to get the shelter veterinaries behind, like part of the reach out of the new protocols. There are a lot of changes in the protocols. They had not been updated in 10 years. We no longer feed kittens every 2 hours. That is something that we know is overstressing their GI systems. So we talk a lot about that. We've been getting some pushback from it. So we really want to make sure that major institutions come together. And by major institutions, I mean UC Davis, University of Wisconsin, University of Florida, and Kitten College. I include us as a major institution. So we're going to all come together. We'll be doing those. You can pull up those new guidelines anywhere. They were, I guess, released in July or August of this summer. We are also working with Maddie's Fund to produce our basic kitten care and taking the fear out of bottle feeding. We just finished that last week. So Maddie's Fund will be making this available on Maddie's University. And what this is good for is for fosters. So if during kitten season, you get a lot of fosters and and you're so busy because you can't train them, it is a great way to say, take this course. They will get a diploma from Kitten College and Maddie's University saying they passed the test. I have never wanted to record these before because I really worry that people will not be able to have all their questions answered if it's just a recording and then yet they take kittens. So we've gotten around that by doing it monthly office hours. So I'll be doing monthly office hours on at Maddie's University for questions and answers to these if people have any issues. We also work with Royal Canin. Royal Canin has come in as a great sponsor for our program. And what they've really done is help us get free and low cost mother and baby cat to shelters. I reached out to them when we started doing this because mother and baby cat is really the only product on the market that I knew of that really addressed weaning kittens. And so, but it's also crazy expensive. You know, it's meant for breeders. It's not meant for rescues. So Royal Canin has come in strong with giving shelter discounts. If this is something that you guys are interested in, let me know. I can make sure you're on the shelter program. And then what we do is we sign our fosters up as buyers. So if you have fosters that want to buy their own supplies, or even for, you know, any even for whatever, then they can buy it through your account, and they will get it'll be tax-free at the reduced shelter rate. And so it's a way to pass the savings on to them and to thank them for the stuff that they do. But the beauty of it is that then the shelter will get 10% back in their sales. So then hopefully if you have enough fosters that buy, you'll have free product. And I can set you up with the Virginia State rep if that's something you want to do. Also, the Virginia State rep will be at the conference. So if you need to know that, let me know. We talked about the satellite campus wins. That was huge for us in 23, mostly talking about Middleburg and PG County. We're functioning at the level of these national programs. Our numbers are intaking what they do at the Best Friends Nursery. And that, I mean, it just says a lot to what any place that really puts their mind to it can do. You can download the impact report on our Facebook page, on our website. I put the link in the chat at the very beginning. That's one. So here's, and you can also this is the UC Davis program. It's the Guide to Raising Unweaned and Underage Kittens, and then the same at the University of Wisconsin. Moving forward, we're really, really working to do to creating this national network. If you would like, we would love for you to join we have a private group. It is just for rescues and shelters, employees and staff, and shelter vets. It's not for fosters. It's not really a page for, you know, pictures or fun stuff. It's just really about, you know, addressing problems you have. There are people all over the country. You do have to answer questions about being affiliated with the organization. But please search that. It is called Kitten College Community. Please join that. If there's anything that you need, somebody asked for foster onboarding guidelines one time. They were doing it, so they just posted it there, and they got 3 or 4 people. So it's just about saving time and resources for the folks that work at the shelters. We're going to be doing the monthly calls. That one is actually will probably adjust now that we're doing the Maddie's University one, but we are looking at working with the Julie Levies and the Kate Hurleys and trying to figure out topic specific things that may help. If we do, you know, if we have a lot of ringworm, if we have something, if, you know, Pan Luke is bad in an area, certain issues, if we hear from you that you need it, we'll put something together. You will need to sign up for our newsletter. We'll send out when all of those are. So we have all of these are the training that we do is the taking the fear out of bottle feeding and basic kitten care. That is not anything that goes over shelter protocols. So this is just if you're interested in using it for your fosters, I recommend you look at the course and make sure you agree with everything on there. It's basically the guidelines, but we don't ever talk about, you know, combining kittens, stuff like that. That's all shelter based. That's decisions for internally. So that's what we will always refer that back to the organization. There's also ways for financial resources. So one thing that we do is just little things, and we try and get cost-saving tips from people around the country and what they do. One thing that we've always done is if you go to a hospital that does labor and delivery, they put erythromycin on the baby's eyes when they're born, and then they throw the tube away. I don't even know the last time we bought erythromycin. If you have a hospital unit in your area, make friends with a nurse, and then they'll just put a little bag next to it. We get that all taken care of. Another thing is the My Royal Canin. You can register there. You just need your 501c3. They do have sometimes where there's some months where they'll have like an additional 30% off for a week. So we'll put those on our Kitten College page. So then you'll get the 30 and the 25. So if you're doing bulk buying for mother and baby cat or anything, I'm just totally kitten concentrated, anything that you use for Royal Canin, it does not include prescription. It is just your basic recipes, but it's also free shipping, professional size bags. And we're also just in the final process of working with Breeder's Edge. Breeder's Edge has a product called Foster Care, but foster care and Breeder's Edge are the exact same thing. It's just the packaging that's different. And they are really trying to work with shelters and rescues. So we're working on defining a partnership with them so that they can make it available to shelters and fosters very cheap. They also have microchips and vaccines. I'm learning all about that right now. I'll put all that information out on our newsletter or the Kitten College page as it becomes available if you guys do use Breeder's Edge. So please consider staying connected. There's the Kitten College group. There's the newsletter. That is also, I gave you that link in the first line of the chat. Please sign up for that and we will get you, we will stay connected. Also, feel free to email me at any time. Do you guys have any questions? I guess, Diana, since I am on full screen, if you have questions. Oh, did the audio not work on the video? Oh man, I'm sorry. It was just music. I just looked at the questions, but if you have any questions, you know, I'm here, please let me know. Okay, well, that's good. It seems like I covered a lot. So like I said, I will be at the Virginia Fed conference. So please, you know, find me. If there's stuff that we can do, I would love to figure out ways to partner or, you know, work together. Really big on the ideas of keeping like kittens from Virginia in Virginia and dealing with ours before we go outside the state. So that's just a personal goal of mine.
Marnie, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I was waiting. So as you know, we're in a rural area of Southwest Virginia. This is where the Twin County Humane Society. And I guess I always thought, you know, I've known about your program for a while and I thought, well, it won't apply to us. It's not really what we do. We're different, we're little, but we do some foster. We cannot pull off a drag queen bingo, that is for sure.
Yeah, I've been to Galax. I'm pretty sure you can't. Yeah.
Anyway, but we could still, so I mean, with this, and I was thinking, I guess I was assuming that you did more local adoptions and that we couldn't do most of our, our market is saturated where we are. So we mostly send our kittens out on transport, but it sounds like that's what you do too. So I was kind of thinking, well, this wouldn't really apply to us and we do things a little bit differently. And so transport is not, I mean, a barrier, or that's not inconsistent with the program.
You know, after, you know, because I was lucky enough to spend time at Galax and meet with you guys in December, and there are actually quite a few things we can do. One is like really going down and working to promote fosters in your area and get fosters and focus on that kitten college concept on everybody having an age. We can always do that. Another part of it is we can, you know, transporting them to areas. I think we took a bunch that time, and they ended up a lot of them ended up at Middleburg. So
yeah, that's what Ashley said.
Yeah, and they were adorable. And
well, we can do, I mean, and Susan was pushing is, you know, we can get more fosters. So I like this program. I feel like we can comfortably get more fosters. We're all pretty spread thin. We're a humane society that does every single thing. Yeah. You know, including fostering. So and we have Becky's on the call too, and she's kind of our foster coordinator, but it's too much for one person. And I kind of like, I've seen some of your seminars before and I'm intrigued by the senior, junior, freshman, you know, I think that's really cool. That would work for us. We have the fosters that we have. We kind of have some that can do medical, some that were vet techs. We do have vet, you know, so we could get more fosters, but here's my fear is that, as you know, the last few years have been a little bit bonkers population wise. And our problem is, where do they go? You know, so yeah, we could rally the troops. We could go out. And so, you know, we could get more fosters, but then what? Like, we don't have the time to train them, to supervise them, and then where do these kittens go? We get to a point in midsummer and no one's taking our kittens, you know? So is this, you know, can we market them better this way? I know they'll be healthier kittens and we do outreach, but just, you know, everybody's just running full on and, you know, so that it's all a challenge for us. I would love to. We definitely have more kittens than we can take in. I think we could get more fosters with this. I'm confident that we could get more fosters, but what then?
Well, so it's really interesting that you say that, because it's very similar. I know I keep going back to Middleburg, but you know, Middleburg was the same way. They were saving all these kittens, but they don't have foot traffic. They don't have doctors. So they worked with, we pull a lot of their kittens when they're ready to be adopted, and just because we get so much foot traffic. They also worked with a rescue in Arlington that had PetSmart like they had them at PetSmart, so they take them. So it is interesting, like we can come up with very creative ways. And that's one of the things that being part of this conglomeration really helps. We have that full day workshop, Stephanie, and it's next Friday. I don't know if you guys could get somebody there, but I think that would be super helpful, because a lot of the things that we do is also not putting a lot of stuff on your staff. So, we have one foster coordinator that handles 300 plus fosters. So we have to figure out, how do we manage that? And what we do is we manage it by offloading a bunch to volunteers, and what is safe to offload to volunteers and what isn't, and how do we manage that? So she has a whole presentation on how she does that in our full day workshop. So I think that you might find that really interesting, and because a lot of the shelters are very rural. I mean, this is not a program just for high functioning urban shelters. My goal is actually to get to the rural areas, because a lot of them don't have any program at all, which is why I'm bringing in like the Royal Canines and the Breeders' Edge and everything, because I feel like they should pay for it. I feel like, we're saving clients for them. So I'm also working with BCA and Banfield to see if I can't get, money to get these things done in these rural areas.
Okay.
So I don't know if that really answers your question, but yeah, yeah.
Thank you. We'll see about next. I don't know if Becky's on this call. I don't know. Becky's like, no, I can't. No, don't look at me. I'm going to be in Florida next week, so I can't go. But I would love to go
next Friday, the 23rd. Yeah. So we'll put that, sign up for the newsletter. We'll put it and get on. I think you're on the Facebook group, aren't you, Stephanie? Didn't I add you?
So,
yeah. So we put it on there when it is. It'll probably be sometime maybe early April will be the next one.
Thank you. That's great.
Awesome.
We appreciate it. Appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, well, I mean, we're all neighbors, so you know how to get a hold of me if you need me, and I'm happy to help.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marnie. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. Sandra,
Thank you,
it's good
Marnie.
to see you.
Thank you, Marnie, and I'll see you next month at the conference.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.